Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've been doom scrolling tech job boards lately, or if you're a recent grad feeling like the ground has just completely shifted beneath your feet, I want you to know you are absolutely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into the data to mentor you through the tough, frankly frustrating reality of the current entry-level software developer market. We aren't going to rely on rumors or Twitter panic. Instead, we're looking at the cold, hard, empirical truth from a comprehensive sector forensic by futurist Thorsten Meyer. We're going to map out exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and most importantly, how you can actually survive and thrive in it.
Okay, let's dive right into this. It's the exact question echoing through university computer science halls and coding boot camps all over the world. Why is it so incredibly hard to land a junior developer role right now? You've done the work, you've built a portfolio, but the doors just seem completely bolted shut. I really want to validate that immediate frustration for you right out of the gate. You aren't imagining things. The market has structurally changed, and we need to look at the numbers to understand just how drastically.
40%. That's the drop in junior developer hiring compared to pre-2022 levels. It's just an undeniable empirical validation that the struggle you're facing is completely real. This isn't just a slight dip or some seasonal fluctuation, It is a massive, sustained collapse in the entry points to a software engineering career.
When we actually look under the hood, the compounding statistics are genuinely breathtaking. Between 2023 and 2024, entry-level hiring at the top 15 tech companies fell by 25%. And globally, junior and QA roles have dropped by up to 35%. Perhaps the most shocking part is that 37% of employers outright state they'd rather hire AI than bring on a new graduate. Companies that used to bring in vibrant cohorts of, say, 15 to 20 juniors are now hiring literally just 2 or 3. We've even seen massive public signals, like Salesforce announcing a total pause on all new engineering hires for 2025. The squeeze is everywhere.
But to really wrap our heads around this crisis, we have to look at the timeline, because it's actually not just an AI story. The trouble began way before tools like GitHub Copilot or Claude matured. In 2022, the era of cheap capital ended. Then, 2023 brought steep interest rate hikes, and that created a massive capital crunch for tech companies. This directly led to the widespread hiring freezes we saw in 2024. Entry-level roles, which companies traditionally view as a long-term investment rather than an immediate source of productivity, well, they were naturally the very first things on the chopping block.
So what we're really looking at here is a temporary economic downturn perfectly layered on top of a permanent technological shift. The economy started the freeze by forcing companies to cut their entry-level investments. But then, right at that exact moment, AI coding tools matured. AI basically stepped in and gave companies the ultimate tool to absorb that macroeconomic pressure with ever having to rehire those entry-level roles.
Which brings us to a really crucial distinction: automation versus augmentation.
To separate the sci-fi from the actual data, we have to look at daily engineering tasks in the trenches. This fascinating data from the Anthropic Economic Index analyzed millions of real-world conversations with Claude. They found a 57 to 43 split. That means 57% of AI usage is augmentation, while 43% is automation. This brilliantly illustrates that AI is predominantly an assistant, a tool that amplifies human capability, not a total replacement. Now yes, that 43% automation handles a ton of boilerplate code and test scripting, but the majority of the work still requires a human in the loop.
However, this dynamic creates what the data calls a bifurcated reality. On one side, you have junior developers who are getting hit incredibly hard. Why? Because that 43% automation is automating exactly the boilerplate code, routine refactors, and simple crude implementations that used to make up the junior task floor. On the exact opposite side, you have senior engineers who are absolutely thriving. They're becoming like one-person software factories, churning out 2 to 3 times more features.
Time for a tough love mentor moment. The industry data reveals a harsh new reality, perfectly captured by this quote from Heather Dache at Signalfire. Nobody has patience or time for hand-holding in this new environment, where a lot of the work can be done by AI autonomously. In the past, companies would happily pay for a 3 to 6 month onboarding phase, where a junior learned the ropes. Today, they expect immediate productivity. They just don't want to pay for hand-holding when AI can handle the basics instantly.
So, this naturally leads us to the new reality: seniors as AI architects.
So, the crucial point is, if AI is so powerful, why aren't the highly paid senior engineers being replaced? The Emmy Trust study answers this beautifully. Senior engineers operating in their own code base systematically outperform AI when it comes to deep work. AI is great at generating snippets, sure, but it lacks the deep contextual knowledge of a proprietary codebase. It lacks the domain expertise, the accumulated taste for complex trade-offs, and the sheer engineering judgment that a senior developer brings to the table.
Because of this, the senior engineering role hasn't disappeared, it's just fundamentally transformed into an AI orchestrating architect. Today's thriving seniors spend way less time writing basic code and more time directing AI workflows, meticulously reviewing AI-generated output, seamlessly integrating that code into production, and maintaining a strict quality bar. By orchestrating AI this way, the top 20% of engineers are achieving 5 to 10 times more productivity. It's a real game changer.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one: the looming 2027 pipeline collapse.
This current corporate hiring strategy actually has a massive structural flaw, but for junior developers, it provides a very real glimmer of hope. By aggressively cutting junior hiring today, companies are virtually guaranteeing a severe shortage of mid-level engineers tomorrow. The conventional career path has always relied on junior roles to train the mid-level developers of the future. The data projects a massive pipeline crisis hitting between 2027 and 2029. The industry is going to desperately need adaptable talent with engineering judgment, and they won't have enough of it simply because they stopped training them today.
Let's move to our mentor blueprint. Here is your survival guide for juniors. Knowing everything we now know about this bifurcated market, how do you actually land a job and survive? Here's a clear roadmap for adapting to this newly raised task floor. Step 1. You absolutely must move beyond basic CRUD implementation. AI does that flawlessly now. Step 2. Master the art of reviewing and refactoring AI output. The new entry-level job isn't writing simple code from scratch anymore. It's managing, correcting, and taking ownership of what the AI generates. Step 3. Focus heavily on system architecture and domain knowledge. You need to start thinking like that AI orchestrating architect from day one.
So, what does this all mean? I want to leave you with a provocative thought. If nobody hires juniors today, who is going to build a software of 2030? The tech industry's current hiring strategy is structurally flawed, and that creates a massive opportunity for those of you who adapt, level up your AI orchestration skills, and push through this squeeze. The market is tough, absolutely, but the future belongs to the juniors who learn to manage the machines. Keep building, keep learning, and thank you for joining me for this explainer.